Thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Zimbabwean police have taken former finance minister and opposition leader Tendai Biti into custody on Thursday after Zambian authorities rejected his bid for asylum and deported him. Biti, who is People's Democratic Party, had formed an election alliance with Chamisa's Movement for Democratic Change (MDC), had been in hiding since last week and had feared for his life, his Zimbabwean lawyer said.
The former finance minister and opposition leader in Zimbabwe has been taken into custody by Zimbabwean police after Zambian authorities rejected his bid for asylum and deported him. Police in Zimbabwe were looking for Biti and 8 other opposition figures for allegedly fueling violence following a disputed national election in which President Emmerson Mnangagwa was declared the winner. Biti's Zimbabwean lawyer Nkobesitha Mlilo said the former minister had been in hiding since last week and had feared for his life after his People's Democratic Party had formed an election alliance with Chamisa's Movement for Democratic Change. 6 people were killed last week in an army crackdown on post-election protest against the victory of Mnangagwa's ruling ZANU-PF party. Mnangagwa's main rival, opposition leader Nelson Chamisa, has accused the government of clamping down on members of his party. The post-election turmoil is reminiscent of contested elections during the long rule of Robert Mugabe, who was toppled last November in a de facto military coup. He was replaced by his former intelligence and defense chief, Mnangagwa, who pledged to hold free and fair elections.
In this regard, the vehement rejection of Zimbabwe election result by the opposition, plans are on course for the swearing-in of the president-elect and leader of the ruling ZANU-PF, Emmerson Mnangagwa. The National Electoral Body, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, announced last Friday that Mnangagwa had won by 50.8% of the 4.8 million vote cast to thinly avoid a rerun, while Chamisa garnered 44.3%.
As reactions, violent clashes and rejection from the opposition continue, the Foreign Affairs Ministry has dispatched an invite to foreign envoys and international organizations accredited to Zimbabwe to the inauguration of the President-elect of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Emmerson Mnangagwa, scheduled for Sunday, August 12 at the National Sports Stadium. Branch chairperson of ZANU-PF United Kingdom, Nick Magwana, said the inauguration of Mnangagwa meant the start of real work. Mnangagwa's inauguration date is being set at a time the opposition MDC alliance and its leader Nelson Chamisa are still alleging the presidential election results were fake and demanding that the electoral management body, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, releases genuine numbers. Chamisa has taken to Twitter to reveal that evidence to challenge Mnangagwa's declaration as the president was now ready and announced plans to assemble a legal team to challenge the results. He said in a statement, unquote, "I've just finished going through the evidence per our agent and V11 forms from across Zimbabwe. We won the election emphatically. ZEC's figures are falsified and inflated in favor of the outgoing president. We are ready for the inauguration and formation of the next government. Hashtag God is in it." End of quote. President-elect Mnangagwa appears unperturbed, saying that people are free to approach the court if they have issues with the results. As laid down by law, the opposition has until Friday to challenge the results proclaimed by the Electoral Commission. No doubt, observers are keenly watching out over the next few hours to see how events unfold in Zimbabwe.
The All Progressive Congress, which had on Tuesday absolved itself from the invasion on Wednesday, has now defended the action of the Department of State Services operatives. The APC claimed that the action of the DSS officers was taken to prevent a plot by President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, to incite violence. This is according to APC National Publicity Secretary Yakini Nabena. The APC's new position is a sharp contrast to the position it took soon after the invasion on Tuesday, when it condemned the DSS action and disassociated itself from it. The APC said on Wednesday that the timely intervention of the security operatives averted a potential loss of life, injuries and destruction of property. Nabena alleged that Saraki mobilized talks to the National Assembly, adding that the new position was the product of an investigation. The Acting Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Mr. Matthew Sayifa, has assured Nigerians that the service will continue to protect the nation's interests at all times. Mr. Sayifa gave the assurance on Thursday at an interactive session with reporters in Abuja, the nation's capital. He promised that the service under his watch would respect and uphold the legitimate rights of all Nigerians without promoting the individual rights of any person above the interest of the country. The DSS acting DG noted that the service was ready to partner with all stakeholders to contain all forms of national threats in the country. We'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more news when we return. The Benue State government says the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has unfrozen its bank accounts. Chief Press Secretary to Governor Samuel Ortom, Mr. Tavez Akase, confirmed this. EFCC had frozen the accounts of the state government domiciled in 3 banks on Tuesday, saying it was investigating alleged abuse of the state's security funds. The Commissioner of Police, Kwara State Police Command, Mr. Aminu Saleh, says the increased use of technology must be a top priority to fight against crime and ensure adequate security in the country. He said this in Ilori while addressing officers and men of the police after his tour of the Police Area Command and other police formations in the state. Mr. Aminu talked about the bank robbery in April, which claimed 30 lives. We need to make use of technology as we are in a digital world. We must always be on alert and aware of everything around us at all times. The Commissioner, however, stressed the need for the installation of CCTV camera in front of the banks, marketplaces and streets linking the banks to further check crimes. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has called on the residents of Enugu State to collect their permanent voters' cards (PVCs) still at the electoral offices. The Resident Electoral Commissioner (REC) of INEC in the state, Mr. Emeka Ononamadu, made this call while speaking with the news agency of Nigeria in Enugu on Thursday. The commission had recently stated that it had more than 200,000 PVCs awaiting collection in Enugu State alone. Collection of PVCs continues up to 1 week to the 2019 general elections proper. Plateau Chief Judge Justice Yakubu Dakwak has ordered the release of 13 inmates serving jail terms in the various prison formations in the state. DSP Luka Ayedo, the public relations officer of the Plateau Command of the Nigerian Prison Service, made the announcement in a statement issued on Thursday in Jos. According to him, the chief judge gave the order during the second round of jail delivery held from August 6 to August 8. He added that Dakwak expressed satisfaction with improved jail conditions at the prison and urged its management to do more. Ibrahim Magu, in a letter dated July 31st by his lawyer, Mr. Wahab Shitu, said he would love the cases taken away from Justice Nyako for fear of conflict of interest. The EFCC acting chairman said he was uncomfortable with Justice Nyako handling his cases at a time when the anti-graft agency was prosecuting the husband and stepson of the judge, Admiral Murtala Nyako retired and Senator Abdulaziz Nyako respectively. Murtala Nyako is a former governor of Adamawa State, while Abdulaziz is his son. When we return, we will bring you updates on Indonesian earthquake and much more. Don't go away. The death toll from a magnitude 6.9 earthquake on the Indonesian island of Lombok on Sunday has risen to 259 and may go higher still, officials say. The region has been hit by more than 350 aftershocks, the worst of which struck on Thursday. The latest tremor had a magnitude of 5.9. Rescue workers are still digging through rubble and trying to get aid to survivors of the earlier larger quake. Officials said of the latest death toll, these numbers will continue to increase as rescue teams continue to find victims under collapsed buildings. The government says more than 1,400 people were injured and more than 156,000 displaced. A bus traveling through Daya Market in Sada province, northern Yemen, has been attacked. Dozens of people, many of them children, have been killed or wounded in a Saudi-led coalition airstrike in rebel-held northern Yemen. It is not clear how many people have been killed, but the health ministry run by the rebel Houthi movement said at least 43 people have died. The Red Cross said most of the victims were under 10 years old. They added that the coalition had responded to ballistic missile launches by the rebels, which they said targeted civilians in the southern Saudi city of Jizan. The coalition has insisted it never deliberately targets civilians, but human rights groups have accused it of bombing markets, schools, hospitals, and residential areas over the past 3 years. Spanish rescue boat Open Arms arrived in the southern port of Algeciras on Thursday with 87 migrants. The crew said they had rescued off the coast of Libya. The charity Proactiva Open Arms operates in the sea between Libya and southern Europe in a mission aimed at aiding migrants who have found themselves in trouble during an attempt to cross the sea from northern Africa. The 87 people were rescued from an inflatable raft which was floating directionless with a broken motor in the open sea on August 2, Open Arms said. Those saved included 84 from Sudan, a Syrian, an Egyptian and a Gambian. There were 12 children included in those saved. The charity says that migrants there have helped said they fear if they were returned to Libya, they could face imprisonment and torture, and many have said they would rather die than return. The U.S. National Aeronautic and Space Administration, NASA, will on Saturday, August 11, launch the world's first ever spacecraft to touch the sun. The car-sized spacecraft, called a Parker Solar Probe, is to study the sun closer than any other human-made object before. The launch is to be broadcast online for the world to see, courtesy of NASA TV, the U.S. space agency's around-the-clock educational broadcasting. Up next is our business report with Edidyong Ewang.
This is Business News and I'm Edidyong Iwang. 10 ships which arrived Lagos await being berthed at the Tin Can and Apapa Island ports, as reported by the Nigerian Port Authority in Lagos today. Well, according to the NPA, 5 of the 10 vessels contained petrol and other 5 contained frozen fish, bulk fertilizer and aviation fuel. The NPA said 39 ships are still being expected between August the 9th and August the 25th. Some products made by micro, small and medium enterprises have been certified suitable for export by the Nigerian Export-Import Bank and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. The products were certified during an exhibition held from SMEs who were shortlisted for the Maiden National MSMEs Awards in Abuja. Shagun Awolowo, the Chief Executive Officer at Products of Entrepreneurship, while expressing his satisfaction, said the products which were displayed at the exhibition were ready for export. He also said the award was to get MSMEs recognized and get partnerships which can ultimately lead to exports. On access to funds, Mr. Abba Bello, the Managing Director of Nexim, noted that the National MSMEs Clinic was established to link small businesses with access to funds such as the Bank of Industries, among others. Well, in the last 7 months, investors have lost an estimated 295 billion naira, largely attributed to foreign capital flights and recurrent market volatility. Plus, TV Africa spoke with Charles Fakura of Foresight Securities Exchange, and he has this to say.
We also recall that the capital market is free entry, free exits. You will not force anybody to remain in the market if conditions are not favorable to them. For these foreign investors foreign investors, what they are saying is, if they invest in a particular place and the environment is not conducive for them, of course, there'll be capital flight. If the conditions are favorable for them, everybody wants to make money. So what we are seeing, this capital flight, is as a result of the economic situation in the country that is making investment not favorable for these foreign investors, and that is why they are leaving. However, we know that the stock exchange is doing a lot, and of course the government of the day is doing a lot to ensure that this trend does not continue by encouraging more and more local investors, domestic investors to come to the market, so that if these foreign investors are leaving, it will not have a major effect on the market. There must be a policy change in terms of overhauling the economy and see that politics, of course, will continue to affect the economy. So every investor should just have that in mind and begin to invest in sectors that are very, very defensive in terms of, for example, you can invest in areas where no matter the situation in the country, people will continue to use those products and those services. That's what I would advise investors to remain calm and continue to invest in the market, because the capital market in itself is a long-term investment. So investors should have a medium to long-term perspective.
Well, that's it on business news. Well, up next is our roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has outlawed Falz's song, This is Nigeria, from being played on radio. The NBC made the announcement in a letter which stated that the song contained vulgar lyrics and is therefore not fit for radio. The letter was made public by an on-air personality who shared it via social media. It wasn't the only song that was banned. Songs by Olamide, See Mary, See Jesus, and Wande Cole's Iskaba were also banned. Fast-rising Ghanaian actress Ella Mensah is currently counting her losses after she took to Instagram to reveal that she was robbed at gunpoint in Festac, Lagos, and her car was vandalized in the process. The actress, narrating her ordeal, disclosed that she has never been so scared in her life or prayed for her life as much as she did this past Tuesday, the 7th of August, when unidentified gunmen robbed her and vandalized her car. She thanked everyone who reached out to her and also said she would be fine. Techno has collaborated with Level Up American singer Sierra. The singer-actress took to her Instagram page to share the cover art of the collaboration. The 32-year-old is set to release a new single called Freak Me. The music is dropping on Friday, the 10th of August, which will be featuring popular Nigerian artist Techno. The track promises to have an African flavor. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko with the big stories in the world of sports. In rugby, the Nigeria rugby national team have left their camp in Abuja and are headed to Niger with a strong squad of a 31-man team made up of 23 players and 8 officials. And the newly appointed national coach, Mr. Brownson Weah, took charge of the 3 intensive training sessions in Abuja on arrival and has selected his 23-man team that will prosecute the Rugby Africa organized international test match against Niger Republic in Niamey on Saturday, the 11th of August 2018. The 31-man delegation is led by the president of the Rugby Federation, Mr. Kelechi Mbagu, being his first international assignment as president of the Rugby Federation. Other members of the entourage are Technical Director Mr. Ntiense Williams, the head coach Mr. Brownson Weah, 3 technical board members Mr. Joseph Ofoha, Mr. Ganga Ahmed, and Mr. Mohamed Salisu, and the team assistant logistics officer Mr. Simon Joseph and Mr. Michael Ada. For the list of players, do log on to our website www.plustvafrica.com/sports to get more of that information. And still in football, in transfers to be precise, Jose Mourinho's desperation grows as his Manchester United side search for a central defender suffers another blow after United failed in their approach for Atletico Madrid defender Diego Godin. And Mourinho's hopes were dashed after he was told the Uruguayan international has agreed a new deal with Atletico Madrid, which is yet to be confirmed. Mourinho hoped to trigger Godin's release clause, believed to be around £18 million, and bring him to Old Trafford on an £8 million a year deal in time to play against Leicester City on Friday. And when he was asked about potential transfers at Thursday morning's press conference, the Portuguese said he was not confident of bringing any player in before the 5 p.m. transfer deadline. And still on transfers, Yerry Mina is having his Everton medical in Barcelona as Everton's club officials are in Spain to finish negotiations that will bring Mina to Goodison Park. And Manchester United were also understood to be interested in the Colombian international defender, but it appears the Toffees have beaten their Premier League rivals to his signature. The relationship between Barcelona and Everton is believed to be strong, with left-back Lucas Digne already moving to Goodison Park from the Nou Camp in this window. And that's all our sports updates on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoku.
Thanks, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can as well subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I am Felicity Ezewike. Have a great day.